They want you to believe it's just a game. They want you to believe that the referees are just human. But after what we saw on January 18th, 2026, the mask hasn't just slipped, it's been ripped off. While the world watched the Buffalo Bills get robbed in broad daylight for the third year in a row, a much darker narrative was being played out behind the scenes. Why did the flag for Brandin Cooks' interception magically disappear only after the refs saw the outcome? Why was the Bills' crucial fourth down conversion marked short, despite every camera angle showing the first down? And most importantly, why does the NFL need Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl at any cost? Today we aren't just looking at highlights. We are looking at the leaked directives, the suspicious hot mic moments between officials, and the billion-dollar ratings trap that proves the 2026 Super Bowl has already been decided. If you still think the NFL is a fair sport, you're about to have your world shattered. Welcome to the investigation the league tried to bury. Let's look at the tape from yesterday's divisional round, 3rd and 11. The game is on the line. Josh Allen throws a dime to Brandin Cooks. Cooks secures it, knee hits the ground, clear possession, but then chaos. Jaquan McMillian wrestles it away after the play is dead. Look closely at the back judge. His hand goes to his pocket. He's ready to signal down by contact. But then he looks toward the sideline. He hesitates. The flag stays in his pocket. Suddenly, the ruling is an interception. Even the CBS broadcast crew, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, couldn't hide their confusion. Gene Steratore, the rules analyst, literally said it was a catch. But in the 2026 NFL script, facts don't matter as much as storylines. If the Bills win that game, the Kansas City dynasty loses its momentum, and the NFL cannot afford that. The Shield needs its golden boy, and they needed the Bills out of the way before they could cause any more trouble for the league as favorites. This isn't just one bad call. This is a pattern of unconscious bias, or as we call it, the Mahomes privilege. During the final drive, we saw Tre'Davious White flagged for pass interference on a play where the receiver was clearly the aggressor. That one flag moved the ball into field goal range and ended the Bills' season. Now, compare that to the Chiefs' last game. Patrick Mahomes gets hit out of bounds. Flag. A defender breathes on Travis Kelce. 15-yard penalty. The data doesn't lie. In 2026, the Chiefs have received 40% fewer holding calls in the fourth quarter than any other playoff team. Is it because they play cleaner? Or is it because the refs know that a Chiefs loss means a 30% drop in Super Bowl viewership? But why the Chiefs? Why does the NFL need Kansas City to survive the divisional round at any cost? The answer isn't on the field, it's in the bank accounts. Let's travel forward in time to a scenario that feels less like a game and more like a corporate merger. Picture this. January 18th, 2026. The Swift factor has hit its absolute peak. For the first time in history, the NFL's female viewership has surpassed its male demographic in the 18 to 34 age group. This isn't just about football anymore. It's about a global brand. A cultural phenomenon. So, what happens if the Chiefs lose? The NFL loses Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. And if Taylor Swift isn't at the Super Bowl, the league stands to lose an estimated $1.2 billion in ad revenue and secondary sponsorships alone. Let that number sink in. $1.2 billion. Do you really believe that the league's top executives would let a fair game stand in the way of a billion-dollar payday? I don't think so. When a quarterback like Josh Allen was driving down the field yesterday, the NFL wasn't seeing a brilliant player making a comeback. They were seeing a direct threat to their entire business model, a liability. Suddenly, the ghost flags started flying out of nowhere. The clock management by the officials, which had been perfectly fine all game, suddenly became confused and erratic in those critical final 2 minutes. You have to understand, they weren't just officiating a game. They were protecting an investment. They were making sure their biggest asset made it to the final showcase. And this brings us to the Golden Boy Protection Program. Let's talk about the Mahomes mic drop. Insider reports circulating from this hypothetical 2026 season have suggested that referees are given a pre-game briefing about player safety, but it seems to apply almost exclusively to one man. Patrick Mahomes has become perhaps the most protected asset in the history of sports. It's not just about his talent anymore. It's about his brand. In yesterday's game, there was a moment in the third quarter where Mahomes was sacked. It was a clean hit, textbook stuff. But Mahomes immediately looks at the referee, points to his helmet, and like clockwork, the yellow flag comes flying out. Roughing the passer. 15 yards. Automatic first down. The drive is kept alive. The narrative continues. Now, let's look at the other side of the ball. The contrast is staggering. Josh Allen was hit low. He was hit late. He was even shoved into the bench after a play was clearly over. The result? Nothing. Not a single flag. In fact, one official was overheard telling Allen to just get back to the huddle. Why the blatant double standard? It's simple. Because the script requires Mahomes to be the hero. He is the face of this new NFL in 2026. If he gets injured, or even just looks human and vulnerable, the whole narrative of the invincible dynasty dies right then and there. And the league absolutely cannot let the story end before its final. Most profitable chapter in the Super Bowl. Every time he gets that extra protection, it's another scene in their blockbuster movie being carefully preserved. This isn't just guesswork. Our sources have uncovered what many inside the league are calling the game flow directive. And no, this isn't a rulebook. It's a guide. A manual on how to adjust the game to ensure maximum drama, maximum engagement, and maximum ratings. One of the key concepts in this directive is something called star equity. What does that mean? It means that in high-leverage moments, the plays that swing games, the benefit of the doubt must always go to the player with the higher marketing value. The bigger star. On January 18th, the star equity was completely stacked on the Chiefs' side. Every 50-50th ball, every close sideline catch, every single subjective penalty call was tilted in one direction. It's the invisible hand of the league, subtly nudging the ball toward the outcome they already printed on the Super Bowl tickets months ago. Think about it. The last-second field goal miss, the questionable spots, the timely penalties that stall one drive and extend another. It all starts to look less like coincidence and more like a carefully crafted performance. We are no longer just watching a sport. We are watching a $20 billion machine making absolutely sure that its gears never, ever grind to a halt. Every whistle, every flag, every replay review is another small adjustment to keep the machine running smoothly toward its predetermined and most profitable conclusion. But if you think the divisional round was the end of the script, you haven't seen the final act. As we sit here today, on January 19, 2026, a document has begun circulating in the deeper corners of the dark web. It is a document that claims to outline the exact score of the AFC Championship and the final outcome of Super Bowl 61. While the NFL officially calls these conspiracies, the accuracy of previous leaks is becoming impossible to ignore. Remember when the logo colors predicted the Super Bowl matchup 3 years in a row? This year the script isn't just about colors, it's about a global takeover. The leak suggests that the Super Bowl will not be won on the field, but in the boardroom. The narrative is set for Mahomes to win his 4th ring, cementing him as the greatest of all time in the eyes of the casual viewer, while the die-hard fans are left wondering what happened to the sport they once loved. Why don't the players speak up? Why doesn't Josh Allen stand at the podium and tell the world that the spot was wrong? That the Cooks catch was real? And that the game is rigged? Because the shield has a price. In the 2026 collective bargaining agreement, the penalties for discrediting the league have reached an all-time high. If a player speaks the truth, they aren't just fined, they are blacklisted. Look at what happened to the critics of the past. They are slowly pushed out, replaced by company men who follow the script without question. The NFL has built a wall of silence, fueled by billions of dollars, and tonight, we are the only ones trying to tear it down. The players are trapped in a script they didn't write, playing for a trophy that might already have someone else's name engraved on it. So, we have to ask ourselves, are we watching a sport, or are we watching the most expensive reality TV show on the planet? When the officiating is this inconsistent, when the business interests are this massive, and when the Golden Boy is protected at every turn, the integrity of the game becomes a fairy tale. We saw it yesterday in Denver, and we'll see it again next week. The script is moving forward, and unless the fans demand transparency, the shield will continue to decide the winners in the dark. Don't look at the stats. Don't look at the highlight reels. Look at the money, look at the ratings, and look at the refs, because that's where the real game is being played. The question isn't whether the NFL is rigged. The question is, how much more are you willing to ignore? Thank you for watching. If you believe we need to hold the league accountable, share this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more content that dares to ask the hard questions.